everybody, Debbie here from Craftywafty, and I just want to do a little throwback to the International or National Scrapbooking Day album that I made, which was the Snaps, Stash and Scrap album, because the lovely Paul Langford messaged me and said, well, he asked actually whether or not he could take my design and upscale it, and I said yes, of course you can, Paul. So this is what he did. He's upscaled his to an 8-inch version. So mine's a 6-inch, his is an 8-inch version, and as you can see, he's used the lovely graphic 45 papers, slice of life, and just having a quick flick through there, you can see some things he's done. Now you probably would have seen his video already up on the graphic 45 site on YouTube and Facebook, etc., of him actually making this size version 1. Okay, and so I thought, right, okay, well, I'm going to downscale. So this is my version, and I've done two little designs for this. So this is a little 3x3-inch album, and as you can see, it's really cute. It's got lots of lovely little tags and places to put photos and things in, and I've used the Cool Cats Craft dies and the pocket filler book dies in there, and then on the back in the little concertina bit, I've just made like some little 2-inch photo mats. So that is that one, and then I also decided to make it into like a little handbag. So we've just got the little handles there. I've stuck down the album page side, and I've just left it with the concertina side open like so, and then we've just got some little tags, or you could put in some photo mats in there. So that's what I've done, and the cutting and scoring instructions are available on our shop for, well, obviously for the original album, okay, and I've also combined Paul's measurements with my measurements for the two smaller versions as well. Okay, so if you want to have a go at making any of these sizes, then you just got to pop over to craftywafty.co.uk and you can download the cutting and scoring instructions for that. All right, so there we go. So without further ado, I'm going to crack on and show you how to make the two smaller versions. Right, so let's get to it then. This is the cover for our little mini album, okay, and we're starting off with a 3-inch by 3-inch square construction board, so it's really good for using up some of your scraps. We've also got our pattern paper, which is 4-inch by 4-inch, and then we've got another square matching, which is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Okay, so effectively this is what we're going to do. We're going to cover our construction board, and then we've got our bit of paper there ready to glue on once we've added the ribbon and stuff like that, but I'll talk you through that in a minute. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to our album cover, and this is such a dinky little take on the International Scrapbooking Day album that I made, so I thought it would be quite good fun. So I'm going to show you the two methods of what we're going to do, either making it as like a little handbag or actually making it as a smaller version of the album itself. Okay, so we're just going to pop that on there and stick that down. Let's just put the lid back on the glue, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just miter the corners. So I'm going to come in, leaving the depth of the board. I'm going to come out from that corner just a little bit, so you can see, just so that that will go up and curl up around that like so. And it's better to cut further away than right close to the front, just in case you miss it, because you can once you've cut it too close, then obviously it's going to show the construction board. Right, so we're just going to fold this over Just give this a nice little crease as we go round. And because I'm using the patterned paper, and actually this paper is quite nice and thick, so it's going to give us a nice finish on our cover. So we're just going to tuck that round like so. Okay. And then and then I'm just going to add some glue. So I tend to do opposites. Don't ask me why. It's just what I do. I just do an opposite. Okay, so I'm just going to hold that down. Give that a little press down like so. There we go. So that's nice and stuck. And then where these corner bits are, I'm just going to tuck in just a fraction. Okay, and just a fraction. Now you could, if you wanted to, depending on the colour of your card that you're using, if you wanted to, you could wrap that round with black construction tape all round the edge, which is what I did, I think, in the original one. But here I'm just doing the covering. But you will have obviously the paper pattern size to be able to sort of wrap it. Okay, so that's what we've got on there, like so. And then obviously this will be the bit that will go in on the center. So while I've got that done, let's just grab in my board and my pen. So you don't, now I've gone round and inked this with seedless preserves is the distress ink that I've used. I thought it'd be something a bit different rather than the black. So I'm just going to faux stitch on my little bit here just to give it a little bit of detail on the inside card, which is what I've done there. And I'm just going to come along and do this side, but like I said, you don't have to do that. For me, I just think it finishes it off. So I just zoom it along here. Okay, and the last side. And I've already inked this bit of paper. All right, there we go. Okay. And now I'm just going to need a little bit because this is quite loaded already, and I'm just going to come round on the outside of my little cover, and then I'm going to turn it around and just come in on the inside because it is quite deep. Am I using the right colour? Yes. Yeah. I was looking at it for a minute. I think I was using the black one. Oh, there we go. That's a bit more like it. I was thinking, why is that looking black? And now I realise why it was looking black, because it was the black one I picked up. I'll just go over it. There we go. That's fine. That's the trouble with having too many tools close by. Okay, we're just going to pop those out the way. And now I just went round and I faux stitched round on the outside. So I'm just going to do exactly the same on here. So I'm just going to come along like so. You can tell I'm concentrating. Go quiet when I'm concentrating. Some would say not often enough, Deb. Cheek of them. Right, okay, let's just come along. Okay, and now I'm just going to come along. There we go, perfect. Right, so that's our covers done. So we're just going to put them to one side for a minute because depending on which way we're going to go, will determine what ribbon we're going to put on our covers. So we'll leave those for the moment. So let's bring in our page. Okay, I don't need that for the minute. So I've already gone ahead and prepped 4 of my pages. Okay, and rather than do it black, which is what I did in the original one, I've actually used patterned paper, which I think looks really nice actually, and in the album it's gonna look good. So we've got 5.5 inches by 5 inches is our paper, and what we're going to do is score on the 5.5 inch side 1.5 inches and 4. Now if you are using patterned paper and it's plain on the other side, which mine is, then have the pattern that you want to show on the outside upright, okay, facing upwards as it were. So we're going to score this at 1.5 and then at 4, and then I'm going to turn it round on the 5 inch side and score it down straight down the middle at 2.5. Okay, and that's the scoring bit done. So you need to do that with all 5 pieces depending on how many pages you're putting in. Okay, but I think 5's quite a good number. Now I'm just going to fold these on the crease, just the long ones, the ones that are going to overlap. Okay, and this will just make it easier for you to see where I cut the V shape. So this center score line that's coming down here, I'm just going to come in and I'm cut to where the fold is, and I'm just going to cut the other side. So I'm basically cutting either side of that center score line, and then we're just going to turn that round and do exactly the same on this side. Okay, so now it should look like this. So I'm just going to bring my mat in because I need to put some glue on here. Right, so let's fold that down. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. You don't need to come in more than about 1/2 inch, or say 3/8 of an inch, because of the overlap. And then I'm just going to stick that down. Okay, so you end up with it overlapping like so. And you need to make sure that your edges are nice and straight as well. And then we're just going to fold this bit. Again, I'm coming in about 3/8 of an inch down that side, and that's going to fold in. And again, I'm just making sure that that is nice and straight. Okay, and then I'm going to get the right colour and I'm just going to go along the edge on either side like so. Okay, and then I'm just going to come up on that folded edge either side as well, but again, this is optional, you don't have to do this. Right, so now we've got our lovely pages done. I'm going to fold these in half and just make sure that these do line up flush at the top. Okay, and I'm just going to give that a nice crease. And again, we're just going to do the same on this side and make sure that's got a nice straight edge. And we're just going to repeat on all our pieces like so. And because this is quite nice paper, it creases really well actually. Right, okay, and then I'm just going to come along either side with my distress ink. I'm not going to faux stitch round these. I suppose you could do, but to be honest, you're not going to see a lot of this unless we're going, well, it depends which one we're going to do, whether you're going to do the handbag or whether you're just going to make the little album. Okay, so I've just done that for the moment. Let's just pop you out the way. Oh, excuse me. Right, okay, so now we're going to bring in our little Concertina hinges, as I call them, and these are 1 inch by 2 inches, and you're scoring at 1/2 inch down the 1 inch side. I've already corner round them and gone round them with the distress ink. And so what we're going to do is that we are going to sandwich these all together, okay, which will then, and I'm going to do them alternate, okay, so you get a nice mix of colours coming in down the side. But first of all, we need to join each one together. So because this is all dots, I've got my dotty one, and I'm just going to fold that in half. And again, I'm just going to, wrong colour, Deb, where did I put it? And ink along the top, okay, just so that it gives it a little bit of definition. And then where you can see these 2 pockets here, this is just going to sit in, and we are going to glue it down so it holds it into place like so. And then we're going to repeat that for all of those. So let's get this first one done. Let's just bring my little mat in. I'm going to need a couple of my little clips. So I corner around it just to try and make it easier for it to slide into in situ as well. So this is my little dotty one. So I find it easier to sort, well, she says, and then she drops it, trying to sort of almost pinch hold that. And then I just slide it into place like so. And you just need to make sure that when it goes in, it has got the even spacing at either end, okay, which is about, looks like just over 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm just going to pop those on there like so, and I'm going to let that dry. So I'm going to carry on and do all of these, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Right, so now we've obviously joined our page together itself, we need to now join our pages together to make our actual album. So where we stuck the centerpiece in for our page itself, we need to put the 2 pages together, and now where we've got that edge is where we are going to be putting in our next one. And what I've done is just to change it up a bit, the pattern paper that I've used on the outside is what I'm using on the inside to cover and glue these 2 pages together, so you just get that pattern following through. So let's just, again, just a little bit of glue, not on my fingers. Okay, and then I'm just going to pinch that so I can hold that. And so what I need to do is I need to slide in on one side and then slide in on the other side, making sure that I'm getting that fairly level with each piece that has already been done. And now that's in, I'm just going to use my little clips and just stick those together like that, so that will just hold that down. So while those 2 pages are drying, I've actually gone ahead and done these 3 pages. So now you can see we've got 1, 2, 3 pages, which is what we had in the original album that I made, the National Scrapbooking Day album. Okay, so we've got those like that. Now this is where you need to make a decision as to whether or not you want to make the little handbag. And here's my little prototype one that I did. And as you can see here, I've got my colours alternating inside. I've got my covers. I've just put paper handles on those, but I'm going to show you with ribbon. But basically, you can open it up so you've still got your little pockets, but what you can't do is open it up to reveal the pages, because we're making it into a little handbag. And if you're wanting to do the handbag, then what we're going, then what you need to do is add a couple of strips of glue down, not right to the edge on either side, so that you can then hold that and sandwich that together. And then you would do the same on that one, so that when you open it, it's just going to open for the pockets and not for your pages. But for this one, I'm going to do it as the little mini album. Okay, so here we go. So we've got 3 pages there, and I now need to, these should be dry by now, so I can now go in and attach these to it. So I've just got to add one more to go in like so. So let's just add the glue. So you have a choice. You can either go ahead and make the album, or you can make the handbag. Okay, so I'm just going to tuck that in. Just going to rest that on there. I can see where it needs to go in. I'm just going to slide that in, making sure that that is fairly level with the others. And now I can just put my little clips on that. Oh, they will just go over, just to hold that in situ. Okay. Right, and I'm just making sure that they're nice and square. So once that lot has stuck, we've got our open pages here to our little album. Okay, so let's just move those bits out of the way, and then we're just going to come back to our covers so I can talk to you about the handbag. So if you want to make the handbag, now I just cut, using the pattern paper, a couple of strips, and I think these were 1/2 inch by about 4 or 5 inches in length. And as you can see, I've just stuck it on the outside and brought it round, and I've done the same on there just to create the little handles to our handbag. Okay, but I thought what would be nice is to actually have it with the ribbon. So I've got some nice coordinating ribbon here, and what I would suggest is that if you're doing the handbag, is, now these I think are, let me just measure these, I think these are about 5 inches. Let's have a little look. Oh, 6 inches. Okay, so what I would do is I would put some red liner tape down on both sides, and I would just stick that on there, and then I would curl that round and stick that down like so. Okay, now you don't want the red liner tape to come right up to your edge, because you're going to be putting your cover to go on, and I would probably go with putting the ribbon on the inside. Okay, just so it gives you a nice and neater finish on the outside. But if you wanted to do the card, you could do it the same with the card and put the card on the inside, or if you're going to put the card on the outside, you might want to put a brad on there, just to sort of finish it off so it looks like a little stud, in which case I would do all of that first before I stick the internal piece of cardstock, patterned paper rather, that is going to go on there, and then that will sort of cover that sort of mechanism. So the idea is going back to the handbag, is that I'd have one bit coming out and then the next bit coming out like so, and then I would stick that down. Okay, so that is for your handbag. All right, to do your covers for that. So let's just put those little strips away. But for the album, which is what I'm doing, I've got a length of ribbon here. Let's just have a little measure. I think I'll probably cut this down a bit. I think it's a little bit long. Let's see, that's 8. It's about 16 inches. So I'm just going to find my center point. Let's give that a bit of a crease so I can do that. And that I will stick on the inside here. Now, again, you can do this one of 2 ways. You could either have it so that the ribbon comes round your whole album and just ties at the front, or you could have one strip going one side, one strip going the other side, and exactly the same on the second piece of that, so you can then tie them together either end. okay, but I'm going to do it all in one piece. So I'm going to put a little bit of red liner tape down the center. I just find the red liner tape holds it in place better. And I'm roughly guessing where my halfway point is. But you can, oh, there's my scissors, but you can, you see, and also doing it this way, I only need to put the ribbon on one side. Okay, so there's my center point. Let's just take this off, like so. And I'm just going to stick that down in the center pretty much. And I'm just going to have to check. Right, that's about 1¼ That is not far off, to be honest, for a rough eye guess to that. Okay, so now I've got that down, I can now be ready to fix that on once we've put our other hinge on for our album. So that's prepped ready. Okay, but on this one I can just stick it straight down because the ribbon is going to come out and come around the other side. So, oh no, I don't. I need to put my hinge on there as well. What are you talking about, Deb? Right, okay, let's get back to our, move my little things out of the way. So here we are. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full pages, which gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sides to decorate. Okay, now we need to attach this to our album cover, because we want this extra bit here as well, so we want that to open up as a hinge. Okay, so what we are going to do is attach one of these onto here like so, and then we're going to glue that bit round the back, but we're going to center it so that it fits. Okay, so that will go on there and then that will stick on there like so. That's what you're going to do for the album. If you're making the handbag, you don't need to worry about this bit, because all you're literally going to do is, once you've put 2 strips of glue down there, now you could put glue or you could put a strip of red liner tape to hold it in place, and once they are all joined together, you're then going to put either glue or your red liner tape on that side, and this will be stuck down with your ribbon on. Okay, and then this will be stuck in the center point of that. And bearing in mind that if your ribbon, say, is coming out of the top of there, that you want to make sure that your little pockets are facing the way where your handle is, and you are going to glue that down like so, and then you'll put the other cover on top with the ribbon. So that's how you're going to finish off doing your little handbag, and then that will just open up with those pockets showing like so. Okay, but we're doing the album. So here we are. So I've got my patterned paper and I've got my little glue. Let's get my little glue mat in, because I'm going to join these on like so. So let's just get some lovely glue going on in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this up. So I've got the pattern to pattern. Okay, now again, this is where you just need to be wary of your patterned paper, which way you're having that go. So I think mine's going to go that way, and I'll need to make sure I do it the same on the other side. So I think we're there, and if I just open that up, I'm going to pinch that, and I'm going to slot that in there first. Okay, I'll just make sure that's lined up and looks fairly level with the sides. Okay, so that's in there, And now I can bring this in and line it up, making sure I've got the same amount of overhang over, and I'm just going to wrap that round. Right, and I'll just give that a hold for the minute. So now when I open that up, you'll see that we've got our paper on there ready to stick onto our album cover. Okay, and then I'm going to come to the other side and I'm going to do exactly the same. So I'm just going to add the glue like so. Let's just grab that. That's a lot of glue on that side. There we go. Right, I'm just going to tuck that in, centre that like so, and then just checking the way that my patterned paper is going. So it's going that way, so I need to put it in that way. And now we can line that up. And because I've got the other bit of pattern paper on there, I'm using that side as a guide to make sure I get these level. Right, and now that comes round over like so. There we go. Okay, and that is our album almost coming together beautifully. Okay, and I've got my patterned papers going the right way. All right, now because this is going to be fitted onto our ribbon, I'm going to put red liner tape on here, mainly because this is part of the construction and I want it to hold. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on there. So I'm just going to do another bit at the other end. I'm just going to do the top and the bottom, and because I will be adding some glue for wiggle room on there, and then we're just going to come around and do the same on the other side. There we go. I'm just going to turn that round and pop that on. Okay, so now we are ready to put this into our album. Right, okay, so let's take this off, and we're going to stick one down first, one side. So we're just going to take off our red liner tape. That's it. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And actually adding the red liner tape will actually help strengthen this paper a bit as well. So that's all good. Right, I'm going to turn this round and hold that in place. And I'm going to, now I've allowed for about 1/8 of an inch all the way round, and I can see that that just needs to come up just a little bit more. This is why we add glue to our red liner tape. So coming in at 1/8 of an inch, just making sure that that is straight. That's better, that's straight at the top. I think we can probably just move that up just a fraction. Here we go. Right, okay, that's it. Stop messing with it, Deb. Just leave it. Right. Okay, so there we go. So that is our internal piece done. And now we just need to do the same on the other side. So let's just take off the red liner tape. And again, I'm going to add some glue to this. Little squeaky bit. There we go. All right, so you can either take that to that, or you can take this to this. Now I just need to check to make sure I've got the papers going the right way for my album cover, which I have. And I'll just stand up for this one, and I can just line it up like so, and that hopefully that has done it. Almost a little bit squiffy. Let's just come out just a fraction. We almost got it. Oops, taking a bit of the paper off there. Right, let's just add a little bit of glue. These things happen. All right, okay, just going to add a little bit of glue to that to hold those bits down. I was almost there. I should have just left it, to be honest, but I am a bit of a perfectionist. So I've got the ribbon out. Here we go. Should have just done it this way in the first place. There we go. That's better. Whatever method works for you. It's always a little bit tricky because it's a little bit on the smaller side as well. Right, okay, so just sticking that down. Just going to come in with my, I think I'll just finish that up. Right, there we go. And now the ribbon hopefully will tie around the front, and go, let's just, and that will give me a nice little bow on there, so you can center it a little bit or what have you, but at least that's going to hold that all together. I think on the original I took the ribbon on the outside to come round, but that was because I was putting patterned paper on there as well, whereas I've only used the patterned paper to cover it, so I've just brought that on the inside. Okay, so yeah, I'm quite happy with that. So let's just see how lengths go. I think that's a little bit long on that side. Let's just, there we go. But yeah, so that is our basic little mini album done. And then it is just a case then of going over to all your decorating. Okay, so just going to leave that like that. Now, on the handbag, obviously, you've got all your little pockets there that you can put bits in. And you know what fits really nicely into these is the pocket fillers from Cool Cat's Craft, their die set. And if I just bring that in, and I can show you that we've got lots of lovely goodies here that are going to fit absolutely beautifully in our little handbag. So if you wanted the handbag as a little gift, okay, then you could put little photos in. So their little Polaroid photo die actually slots in there quite nicely. So you could just put in a few of those and tuck those in. The tab, yes, this one with the rounded top does go in. Okay, it just sits underneath there. So it depends whether you want a flush look or not, or you can use the longer tag and tuck that in there. But that does sit up proud a little bit on your album. Okay, the other thing is that you've got your little pocket, so you could make a little pocket, and you could, if you wanted to, maybe put that on the front so it looks like a pocket to your handbag. The other ones that we've got, I'm just pulling these out. Okay, we've got a little envelope, so you could maybe make a little envelope to go on there, and another little pocket that you could sort of just attach there as well. So you've got all these lovely bits and pieces that you can play with. What else have we got in here? I've got little, just like a little paper clip type thing to go in on the top of one of those pockets if you want. So all of these will fit quite nicely inside or outside of your little handbag. But for the album, let's just open this ribbon up here. Now that we've got our pages, these are going to fit beautifully on our pages as well. So we could have some of these going in our little pockets here, our little concertina bit. Okay, so we could tuck some of those in there, or you could just tuck in a 2" by 2" photo and just mount it on a little bit of card. Or we can use these to sort of decorate on the inside. So this one, you see, I could cut one out and just stick that on there, and then I could put maybe a couple of little, maybe a little tag or something will fit in there. Then you've got your Polaroids, so they are going to fit nicely on there as well. Obviously, when you make your envelope, you could put that on there with a couple of bits of embellishments. The only one that's not going to fit on the page is the bigger tag, okay, but that will go in the back. And then you've got your other tag here as well, which will also sit on the page. And your pocket, this is a little bit bigger. It will fit just on the page, so you might be better off putting those, if you've got these set of dies, on your internal covers. But if you haven't got those, and I will be playing with those and putting some in and showing you what it looks like when I've done it, but you could just add your 2" photos. You put a little photo mat there on these if you wanted. You could maybe add a little message. You know, you can do whatever you like. And on the outside, you could decorate it if you've got maybe some stickers. I might cut out some flowers from the same paper and just sort of add those to it. So lots of decorative options that you can use. Okay, but I think I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to decorate, and then I'll show you what it all looks like when I'm finished. Okay, so I'll see you in a bit. Right, and here we are. Both the handbag and the little album are finished. So we're going to look at the handbag first. So as you can see here, I've gone around with a bit of faux stitching. I've put on a little pocket with a little tag that goes in there, and I've just decorated it with some flowers. Now the flowers I've just punched out of the papers that have been used. Okay, and then inside here you can see we've got tags, and I left it blank on the back, so you can either add a photo or maybe a little bit of journaling, something along those lines. So that's what I've done on there. So that's the little handbag, and I did this little detail at the top because I don't know if you've looked at handbag handles, they often stitch like that, so I thought I'd do that as well. And then here is the little Snap, Stash and Scrap album, the little mini one. Now I'll be honest, what I did do was I did go in and add in some extra ribbon. So I've got ribbon now on both sides. And the only way I could do that was literally get my heat gun out and just loosening the paper so I could tuck another bit in, because I found actually that my ribbon wasn't quite long enough to wrap around everything. So I've just gone in and done 2 bits. So you will see that I've got it coming in where we put the ribbon in originally underneath that panel on the inside cover. I've added an extra strip, and I've done the same on the front as well, because I also realised that having it around the back and coming around the front and tying it in the front was going to interfere with my decoration. But here we go. So again, I've just punched out flowers from the papers that I've used. I've put my initial on there. I've just mounted it on some white so it will just pop it a bit. And when we open it up inside for the album, as I said, I've used the Cool Cats craft little pocket filler dies for this. So we've got little pockets here, we've got a little tag, there's a little photo, Polaroid photo there. I've got another one there, and again I've just gone through and enhanced it with some little flowers and gems. This one's just got a tag in, we've got another place photo there. This little envelope, there's a couple of little stamps there, so which I used their postage stamp die set for. Okay, and again we've just got some other photo Polaroid photo holders, another little envelope, and then again at the back here we've got another little one and a tag. And then on the other side of our album, our Concertina side, if I can just get the ribbon out, I've gone in and I've made some photo cards. Now as you can see here is that where the ribbon ties, it ties down through the center of my tabs. Now I could make the tabs a little bit shorter, but to be honest, this is just for me, so I'm not that worried. But you'll notice that I've put the tab to one side, and then on the other one I've done it the other side, so it just gives me that nice little channel. And these are 2 1/4 inch by 2 1/4 inch, and so you'll fit a nice 2-inch photo on there. And as you can see, I've stamped it both sides, so there's lots of space there to get your photos in. And this is let me just tuck that back in there, and you've got 10 of these, so in effect you can get 20 little photos in. But there we are, and that is the Snap, Stash and Scrap album that I did for the National Scrapbooking Day, or International Scrapbooking Day, back in May. Downsized, and I've made them little mini ones, which I think they've turned out rather well. So if you want the pattern for this, then you can pop over to craftywafty.co.uk, and I've uploaded the pattern, and you'll notice that it will have 2 sizes on it. It'll have the small size, but also we've upscaled it as well, and you've got the bigger size on there as well, bigger than the original album that we made. So you've got a choice now of 3 sizes if you wish. Okay, anyway, take care and keep crafting, and we'll see you on our next project. Bye.